Hi there and welcome to Craft Jitsu's hand embroidered chaffinch video. You saw from the previous video how we transferred the outline, so I'm just going to show you how you actually stitch the bird. There's the needle we're going to use. It's quite fine, but it's the kind of needle I prefer. I'm self-taught, so there may be things in this that you don't agree with, but this is just the way I do it. Now we're using stranded cotton. There's 6 strands to stranded cotton and we're going to use 2. Now I tie a knot in my thread, and I know this is frowned upon by some people, but again, it's just the way I've always done it. And if you snip off any excess tail, it stops it getting tangled up and getting in the way. We're going to start with the eye. We're going to do a little row of back stitches on the very inside of the outline. Don't worry, we'll be speeding them up soon. Now, first deliberate mistake of the video. We go a bit wrong here, so we can just unpick it and start again. Now we're going to do some vertical satin stitch over the top of the back stitch. I don't know why, but it just seems to make it look much neater when it's over the top of the previous stitching. There's the second deliberate mistake of the video. You can see it's not quite reined. You're just all making me nervous. But I unpicked it while you weren't watching. Now I finish a thread by just sewing it through to the back a few times. Now we're going to use some white stranded cotton to make the shine in his eye. Again, 2 strands. And just put a couple of little stitches in. Now this is where it all starts to go a bit wrong again. It obviously knows you're watching and it keeps getting tangled up. But it happens to me too, and we get there in the end. Sorry you can't see this bit, but I think it's probably to pull out a thread from the front. One of the little tails has got pushed through to the front, to the right side, and I think it's just to drag it back out again. Now we're going to do some back stitches around the eye, very, very small stitches in dark grey. This will look a bit peculiar at first, but bear with it, and when the embroidery is finished it will look great. And the eye is complete. I always find it best to do the eye and the beak first because they add so much expression to the bird, and if you get this wrong it can look a bit silly. And now for the beak. In a pale grey we're going to back stitch across this line here. This again adds a nice straight edge. Next we fill in the beak using stem stitch. And always make sure you follow the curve of the beak. And in a dark grey, stitch a line between the tip of the beak and the mouth. Sorry you didn't get to see it for very long there, but hopefully you can see it now. We're now going to stitch the feathers. I've drawn some direction lines onto the bird, and so just stitch into that little gap some black stitches, following those lines at all times. I think all the stitching from here on in is stem stitch. Now do the same thing with the sort of cheek section, following these lines and filling in with this colour. Now we're going to stitch the top of the head. You're going to follow these direction lines again, but I like to go ever so slightly outside the lines sometimes. It makes them look like the feathers are quite fluffy. It takes a little bit of practice, but just keep turning it and having a look and seeing how it is. Now we're going to start at the top of the shoulder. I don't know where that little bit of footage has disappeared, but here we are with halfway through. You can start making the stitches a little bit longer now if you want to. and now the top of his back.